All right. Have a good night, Dave. Okay, so Avi Khan, I found the Paiskim discussed your issue with the Naftali Liner was working on it last night. It was Gavaldik. He was really taking with Yakasha. I don't know where he is, Naftali. He's on here, Naftali.
Tiago, quick question. If someone doesn't count Sphira 5 nights in a row, but keeps counting in the morning, should be counting the next night with the Racha?
Yes. Unlimited. You have unlimited amount of do-overs as long as you count during the day. Yes.
Perfect.
Avrami, it's not good because you forgot to say, I'm asking for a friend.
It happens to be, I was asking for a friend. I told the guy, I'm pretty sure you can't, but then again, I'm not sure. I could ask somebody that knows tonight. So,
I just wanted to clarify for everybody else.
That's right.
It's lucky you didn't put it on the chat because we don't answer shilas on the chat.
And Avrami, you're a half hour, 40 minutes too late. You could have just logged 45 minutes ago. You would have gotten the answer.
Listen, it wasn't easy getting back from Orlando so early in the morning. I had to go to sleep.
Listen, you can count Sphira for the next day, but if you miss a shear, at least you could do the YouTube, but you can't do the Kitzur. The Kitzur one doesn't go on YouTube.
I know. I so far I'm up to date. Every time I missed, I listen the next morning. It's either that or a podcast. That's why I try to listen that night, so I don't have to listen in the morning. I like listening to certain podcasts.
Okay, before the Mashgiach yelled that we didn't finish the first page yet. Well, what's the answer? The beautiful.
It's a relatively short daf. It's a relatively short daf, so we can push off the Mashgiach. The Rambam, the Kesef Mishna on the Rambam, and I don't know why this went over my head yesterday. I know why it went over my head because it doesn't take much to go over my head. But the Machlaikis on Amud beis, it says the pasuk seems to say that she has to cry for her parents 30. Again, Avi Khan's kasha yesterday was, how can you marry the Yefas Toya? You have to wait 3 months. How do you know who's going to be the father of the child for Havchana? So the Machlaikas on Amud beis, which is what the pasuk means. Does it mean 30 days? Does it mean 60 days? Does it mean 120 days? So some of the Mefarshim are learning that and the Rambam paskins that it has to be, now I don't remember if he says 60 days or 120, whatever it is, the Kesef Mishnah on the Rambam learns that the reason why the Rambam paskins that way is because of Havchana. That's why you need to wait the 60 days, not 30 days that the pasuk said. The reading of the pasuk sounds like 30 days, but we said that it means 60.
The Gemara went out of their way to show a way to do it miyad. Like you could do like this whole shtick by calling her a slave, freeing her, and then you can marry her right away. You don't even have to wait 30 days.
Well said, right. So if she's pregnant, you certainly wouldn't have to. Right? I don't know if we're going to say the loy plug on that. Well, 1 second, but I took a picture. I got to this from the Mesifta, actually. I didn't do too hard of work. Right? But he says, if you look at the Targum Yonason, the footnote in the Mesifta brings from the Targum Yonason on the pasuk in Devarim, it says, you wait 3 months to see if she's pregnant. That's the Targum Yonason on the pasuk. So bottom line is you nailed it. That's the bottom line. So Ashrecha. Yeah. Anyway.
They have to wait 3 months?
Yeah, that's the way the Rambam says it. And they're trying to figure out which sheet the Rambam's going. And then they say, the Rambam means Havchana. It means because you can't marry her for 3 months. Because how do you know who the father's going to be? That's the way the Paiskim learn it in the Rambam. Then the only kasha is, we learned that the whole din of Havchana is a din d'Rabbanan. If you learn that this is what the Rambam is saying, then it means it's daraisa. Because if that's what the Torah meant, according to the Rambam, that means this din of waiting 3 months to get married to a divorcee or a widow is a din daraisa, which we learned very clearly that it's not. Okay, whatever. Anyways, Daf Mem Tes Amud Aleph. Yeah. One more. Tonight is vacation because let me tell you, we finish a parak. I don't think we'll finish it tonight. But we're back to calculations like it's going out of style. Tomorrow's Mishna, the next parak, it's a three blot parak. But boy, let me tell you, it's the calculations are quite interesting. Anyways, so tonight's sugi is mamzer, right? What's a mamzer? So Zok the Mishnah, Ezo mamzer, mem tesamar aleph. Who is a mam? Meaning, how do you get a mamzer? So call she'er basar shehu b'lo yavai. Any relative that you're not allowed to be with, shehu b'lo yavai, is automatically a mamzer. Divrei Rabbi Akiva, that's what Rabbi Akiva says. Now that means lo yavai means it's just a lav, right? Meaning even if there's no chorus and even if there's no chiyuv misa, as long as it's just a lav, then that is enough to make a mamzer, which basically means that any illicit relationship, according to Rabbi Akiva, is going to make mamzer. Yeah, Shimon Hatimni yomer, kol shechayav b'lav chorus b'dei shamayim. If you're chayiv chorus b'dei shamayim, chorus b'dei shamayim just means chorus. It's interesting that it calls it chorus b'dei shamayim. I don't know how else would you define chorus, right? But whatever it is, he's saying if it's a chiyuv chorus, then it makes a mamzer. V'alocha kedvarav, and the halacha is like him. Rabbi Yishayahu said, because noisei chalutzasa is only allowed. Why Rashi picked that example, I don't know. But anything that's just a lav that you're not allowed to do is not the kid that comes out from such a union is not going to be a mamzer. It's only going to be a mamzer if the couple that misbehaved is chayiv chorus, right? That's Shimon Hatimni, and that's the way. And interesting because the Mishnah says halacha kidvarav. We'll get back to that in a minute. It's not so often that you see a Mishnah say halacha kidvarav.
If someone is ma'anis a lady, the kid's a mamzer?
If he's ma'anis a lady, and she's an 8, well, it's got to be a chiyuv chorus.
No, according to
it has to be. Yeah, he has to be. Yes, if he's ma'anis
to R Akiva, somebody's ma'anis.
Yes.
She didn't do anything. She's sitting in the field. He was ma'anis her. The poor kid's going to be a mamzer because some bum.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Does everyone hold that way? Not everyone holds that there's an Isser lav on that.
No, but on the guy there is.
There's an Isser lav on the union of Anusa?
What? Why not? I think
What's the lav?
I thought that's what we said.
Is it a lav to go ahead and be honest, but the union's not a lav.
Well,
lav is on you.
With lav anyways. We're not going with lav anyways. We go with going with chorus.
I'm just saying.
According to Rabbi Akiva.
He's saying according to Rabbi Akiva. So
according to Rabbi Akiva?
The lav is only on the person, it's not on the union. She's an anusa.
I know, but he is not.
It's also for him to be honest.
What are the kid and the mother
to punch people in the face also.
I understand. So good. So, but
it's not on the union.
There's a special. Yes, there is a special din by mamzer. What's a mamzer? If you want to go with that, what the?
No, I'm saying, but to be honest, somebody's not. There's no. It's not an isser on the union. You can't go ahead and be honest somebody because you're violating them. What does that have to do with the union itself being usser?
Listen, I don't know enough about what we would say by ma'anis. I don't know. I thought I think it's a disagreement, but I thought that's what we said. It could be I'm wrong. I think Gershon had a maramokum once. It came up once before. When Gershon had a maramokum.
When Rashi talks about it, he's talking about he's talking about you going ahead and marrying and then Anusa. He's not talking about if the actual Anusa, the child's from the Anusa.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if you look at it from the male perspective or the female perspective. Right? But anyways, so let's see. But Rabbi Yishayahu says, and this is my mamash, I don't understand this Mishnah. If anybody has any insight, it would be helpful. So again, we said Shimon Hatimni says if the chiyuv chorus from the union that happens here, then and the halach is like him, then it's mamzer. Rabbi Yishayahu, kol shechayav and alav misas bezdin. Rabbi Yishayahu says if you chayiv misas bezdin, not chorus, Meaning your standard Ashes ish is kares or misa. Standard Ashes ish is misa, not kares. So if you're paskening like Shimon Hatimni, right, then you're an Ashes ish, it shouldn't make mamzer. Right now, the classic case of mamzer is Ashes ish. Right? So the thing is, and we just said the halacha is like Shimon Hatimni, which means only chiyuv ekaris. Right? And then Yishayahu Aimer, kol shechiyav ala misa b'dezin, and then the Gemara says, the Mishna says, Amar of Shimon Hazai matzasim megillas yuchsim b'Yerushalayim, that I found a Megillah of a yichus, like a yichus letter, because of and it says in it ish pliny mamzer may ashes ish. This person is considered a mamzer because it came from an ashes ish. L'kayim divrei Reb Yehoshua, and that shows that we can shows support for Reb Yehoshua. So I don't understand. So now are we going pasking like Shimon Hatimni, or are we pasking like Reb Yehoshua?
Yaakov.
Yeah.
In the time of Bezdin, it was what you're making a difference between a sotah and a regular and an ashes ish. In the time of the Migdash, so in the time of the Migdash, it wasn't Mrs. Bezdin. It was the Shalom blew her up.
No, that's only if you didn't have Aiden. I think that's only if they didn't have Aiden and the husband was chayshit. If there's Aiden, then no, then there was no drinking of the sotah. Sotah was only if she denied and there was no Aiden.
It's be very rare that there's Aiden on the mice.
Right, that's true. Right, there's be very rare. It'd be very rare. That's a Gemara Makas. But theoretically, if there was Aiden on the mice, then she would get.
Okay.
I forgot. Fine. I think that the Teferes Yisrael, I think, says on this that it says Ashes Ish because from all it's Ashes Ish gets chenek, which is the least strict of the punishments of Misas Bezdin. So the Chiddush, the Gemara is saying is that the Mishnah is saying that even the Ashes Ish, which is the least, still would make a mamzer.
Which one falls under immaculate conception?
Yeah, that's a good yes. Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, but it's I don't know how I don't understand. So now, and the way we paskin, by the way, is like both. In Shulchan Aruch says, we say it's anybody who's a chi of kares and misas bezdin, or misas bezdin. That's the way we pass in Shulchan Aruch. I just don't see how we get it from the Mishnah, which Taisus has an interest. That Taisus as a kasha. We don't learn halacha from Gemara like this. Just because the Mishnah says it doesn't mean that we're gonna learn like that. But then Taisus brings all sorts of arayos that we do. But anyway.
It's Yaakov, wouldn't Chayv Misas Bezdin? I mean, I don't know what the Megillah is saying, but wouldn't Chayv Misas Bezdin be a culture came from Chayv Karis?
I don't know why.
I'm saying, isn't that another level? Isn't that we were learning before that?
Well, that's a machlokes. Which one's a higher level? No.
Clearly, the way we're paskening, it's a higher level because we're going with Shimon Hatimni.
Wow, that's I don't know. That's a machlokes whether which one is a higher. Which is a higher thing. But
I'm just saying,
no, but in the Shulchan Aruch, Lamais we paskin like both. Shulchan Aruch says it's a chi of kares and a chi of misa, both.
But if they're being chalik in which one's higher, so then you can't you can't pass in both ways. Obviously, the shita that holds that whichever one's lower, and if we're passing like Shimon Hatimni, you must hold its higher chiyuve Mrs. Bezdin. If the machlekes comes down to which one is a higher madregan, that's why they're chaylik. So then you can't say we pass like Shimon Hatimni, but also Rabbi Yehoshua.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But that's
unless you say that Shimon Hatimni holds its lower and it's a kol shekain.
Maybe. But then why does Rabbi Yehoshua need a support? Okay, whatever.
We don't pass like that anyway, so who cares?
No, we do. Really,
it's obviously not.
We paskin like Rabbi Yehoshua also. Both. Anybody is a chi of kares or a chi of misa bidei adam. gar, anything, it makes mamzer. That's what we learn.
But
that's what
I'm saying we don't. Rabbi Shua limits it only to chayv misabez.
Yeah. Right, but we go with both. We go like Rabbi Shua and Shimon Hatimni. Okay, so let's see. Yeah. Fine. Then the Gemara says a couple of interesting cases. Ishta shemuttar. I'm sorry, Ishta shemesa. Right. So we know the din that you're not allowed to marry your wife's sister. Once the wife dies, then one is allowed to marry the sister. Well, we had some gedolim that did that. Right, they married their wife's sister after death. So Ishta shemesa muttar ba'chaisa. You're allowed to marry the sister. Garsha, but if she gets divorced, you're not allowed to marry the sister. But what happens if she got divorced and then Mesa, and then she died? Right? Again, a guy's wife died, he's allowed to marry his wife's sister. If he divorces his wife, he's not allowed to marry his wife's sister. Okay, what happens if he divorced his wife and then she died? So which one gets dibs? Is the divorce or is it the death? So we say it's the death, and therefore he would be allowed to marry his wife's sister. Nisas la'acher umeisa muttar ba'chaisa. If she got married to somebody else.
But didn't she have a din erva? Gersha Mesa?
Who?
Gersha. He divorced his wife, the Mishna. He divorced his wife. Now,
he's not allowed to marry his sister-in-law.
That's an erva, right?
It's a lav. It's not.
What's the issur lav?
Arayos ishta.
That's an erva, no?
It is an erva, yeah, but it becomes muttar after death.
Why? You take me.
That's what the Torah said. I mean, whatever. I don't know if the Torah says. That's what we learn out from the Torah. That's after death. It's only an erva. It's only an erva. Kolzman, your wife is alive. Once the wife dies, it's not an erva. Right? And then another din is nisis la'acher. Let's say he divorces his wife, then his wife goes and gets married to somebody else, and then she dies. Muttar ba'chaisa, he's also allowed to marry his sister, right? Yeah. So that's another step. It's another step of the thing, right? And then we're going to say the same thing with yivimta. Yivimta, meaning if somebody does yibum on a woman. So then shemesa, if she dies, and then so she dies. So muttar ba'chaisa, he's allowed to marry her sister. Chalatzla, if he does chalitza to her, so he's not allowed to marry her sister. But then mesa, if she dies, muttar ba'chaisa, it's muttar and his sister. Nisas la'acher umesa muttar ba'chaisa. If she gets married to somebody else and she dies, she's muttar. He's muttar to the sister. So the same exact case, just by yibum.
Is there ever a case where it's not mutter? Meaning, why are we giving all these examples? Why can't we just say mesa, everything is mutter?
You mean, is there any case where she's mesa and it's not mutter? I hear that kasha. Yeah.
I'm just trying to make a shorter daf, that's all.
It's interesting you're saying that, Peretz, because the Gemara, the last words in the Perek says that these last words in the Mishnah are totally extra. It's funny you saying that. That's mamish what he says. It's totally extra. I hear
Eipach.
Right. So, the bottom line is you're right. It just say at any point she dies, he becomes mutter to her sister. I hear. Fine. Okay, so that's the Mishnah. So again, we have three-way machlokes in the Mishnah, and the Gemara is going to change it into a five-way machlokes. In the Mishnah, there's three opinions. Rabbi Akiva, that any lav, if any kid that comes from a lav, then that would makes a mamzer. You have Shimon Hatimni, who says that it's only chiyuve karis, and you have Rabbi Yeshua, who says not even, but I don't know, Akiva wants to learn it as even, right? But chiyuve misa. Right? Those are the three shittas. Now, what are the reasons? Zakti Gemara, my time under Rabbi Akiva. Why does Rabbi Akiva hold? Where does he know that any chayiv lav makes mamzer. It says la yikach ishes aviv, but la yigala knaf aviv. It says a person should not marry his father's wife. Obviously, talking about where the father's wife is not his mother.
Yaakov,
Yeah.
Mr. Abra Batya, would that make a mamzer?
Oh, yeah. We discussed it already, right? We discussed it last time. I mean, no, not tonight.
Yeah.
We discussed it a few weeks ago, but yeah, I meant to bring it up again. Yeah, does there have to be, what Rabbi Aaron is saying is that do you have to have an intercourse in order to make mamzer, right? This is the famous tshuva from Ramosha, where he says that artificial insemination does not make mamzer. He says no way can it make mamzer. In order to make mamzer, you have to have
I understand. I'm sorry, but here in a case where you know where the zera is from, it's from an issa. The zera is from an issa. But there was obviously no intercourse.
Right.
But you know the zera is from an issa.
Yeah, the Gemara says, what's it? Not if it's the Gemara, but what was the name of that fellow who became an apikoros, who was born that way? What was his name? Whatever. The Gemara, it's not gonna make a mamzer. That's the way it goes. To the extent where in the Shulchan Aruch by Hilchos Harchakas and Hilchos Nidda, it says that a woman's not supposed to sit on her husband's bed when she's a nidda. I'm sorry, a woman can sit on the husband's bed when he's not there. Oh, why are we not afraid that maybe there's some zera on the bed that's going to go inside her? So we say, but that's not an issue because it's not going to make mamzer, right? That will not make mamzer. That's how we know. That's Ramosha's raya, that it doesn't make mamzer. And this thing, this comes up a lot. This
so didn't we have this in the bathhouse and all of that?
Yeah,
and everything else.
We discussed it in Chagiga. Yeah, with the bathhouse. That's what Rabbi Aaron's referring to. But anyways, that's what Moshe's finished. And Satmar Rebbe, what do you call it? Was very anti it. But anyways, yeah. So let's see the Gemara. So my time with Rabbi Akiva. Why does Rabbi Akiva say that is the Isser Lav, the Siv, that there's a mamzer even from Allah? Because it says La Yikach Ishes Eshes Avos. So a man is not allowed to marry his father's wife. Well, again, that's not his mother, obviously. Right? But even if it's just his father's wife and not his mother, he's not allowed to marry her. And he's not allowed to reveal, literally means the coat of his father. So what does this mean? Knaf shara aviv lo yigala. The coat that his father saw, he shouldn't be megala, which he learns out. Ra means intercourse. And what it means is, we learn out from this that if the father was ma'anis, a woman, right? The father didn't marry. Of course, if the father married a woman, the son cannot marry his stepmother, even after they get divorced. But we're saying, even if the father was ma'anis somebody, he also, the son is not allowed to live with that woman, but it's a lav, right? So therefore, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. Let me just read that. He held like Rabbi Yehuda, who says it's talking about where the father was ma'anis somebody. It's chayve lavin, the samichle, and then right next to that pasuk, it says la yavam mamzer b'kahal Hashem. A mamzer shouldn't come with the kahal Hashem. So since that's right next to the parsha of being together with somebody who the father raped, which is a lav, so that you see that mamzer can come from even something from a lav. Ama mahani having mamzer. So even just from a lav, that it's going to be a mamzer. Now the Gemara is going to ask a kasha, and we're going to come up with opinion number 4 and number 5 as to what makes mamzer. So Gemara asks, will Rabbi Simai the mar b'shar chayve lav and the lav the she'er, where he includes other chayve lavin that are not necessarily considered znus. I don't know if znus is the right word, but considered being promiscuous. But he includes in a lav she'er, so meaning he's even more machmer in what Rabbi Akiva held. What does Rashi say? Machzir grushasei. marrying we know the din is that a person's not, once somebody divorces his wife and that wife gets married to somebody else, he's no longer allowed to marry that wife. Let's say he does. So you're not going to say that that's an erva because that was his wife, right? It was his wife and she's single again, but it's still a lav. So Rav Simai is holding that even if a guy remarries his ex-wife after she married somebody else and got divorced from that somebody else, that would also make mamzer, right? Which is even more than what our Mishna holds, Rabbi Akiva holds. So that's one opinion. Ula Rabbi Yishayahu, and according to Rabbi Yishayahu, the marba filu chayve essay, even something that's only asur al mitzvos asay, which would be a mitzri or a daimi, because that's a mitzvos asay that it says dar shlishi yavalahem, that the third generation could come in, but mashman that the other two cannot. So either way, both of those are even more machmer. So how do they know? How do they know that they're allowed to? How do they know that it's going to make mamzer? So nafkalu. So the Gemara answers nafkalu. They learn it out from the word viloi, because the pasuk says, if you look right in the line under where the Gemara starts, the pasuk says lo yikach ishes aviv v'lo yigal knaf aviv. That viloi is extra. Why doesn't it just say a man should not take his father's wife, and they not be megala the knaf of the oven? What's the extra viloi? So since you have the extra word viloi, that's coming to tell you what?
An extra vav, not loy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I say the viloi? Well, the truth is the loy could also be extra. But
You said it not. Person shouldn't take ishes of it and be megala the knaf of the oven. No, let's say loy.
Well, you can do it either way, but for sure the vav is extra. Right? Yeah. So whatever it is, so that they're learning that out from the extra word, the extra letter. Good. So now that's Rabbi Akiva. So again, within Rabbi Akiva's shita, there's really three shitas. The way our Mishna understands Rabbi Akiva, it's only chayve lavim that have actual arayos. Rav Simai holds it's chayve lavim even if there's no arayos, like machzer gushasa. And Rabbi Yishayahu can hold it even if it's a mitzvos asay. If you sleep with somebody who's only just a mitzvos asay, would also make a mamzer. Fine. Shita number 2 is Shimon Hatimni. So Savala Karabanan, he held like the Rabbanan. The Amri, they say shomeres yavam shel aviv. Let's say the guy's uncle died. The guy's uncle died without kids. So his father now has to be yavam, his brother's wife. And then this kid goes and he sleeps with the shomeres yavam. So there, shomeres yavam shel aviv hakasam medaber. That's what the pasuk's referring to. The avi lechayve krisis. That's a chiyuv kares. Right? If a shomeres yavam, the kid sleeps with the shomeres yavam of his father, that's a chiyuv kares. The samach leilo yavam mamzer, and it says right next to it yavam mamzer. Am mechayve krisis havi mamzer. So that's why Shimon Hatimni says it's a chiyuv kares. Meaning everybody's learning it out from the pasuk of lo yikach ishes aviv lo yigal knaf aviv, and that pasuk is right next to the pasuk of mamzer. It's just a matter of how you define what that pasuk is referring to. Rabbi Akiva says it's referring to anusas aviv, which is just a lav, and memela. So that tells you that anybody that's a lav is a mamzer. And Shimon Hatimni says no, it's not talking about a lav; it's talking about kares lo yigal knaf aviv. So therefore, only things that are kares. And then the last sheet is Rabbi Yeshua. I'm sorry. Then we, Rabbi Yeshua. Yeah, but Rabbi Yeshua, lichtayv rachmana. How does Rabbi Yeshua learn it out? So lichtayv rachmana lo yigala. Why doesn't the pasuk say lo yigala and lo yikach lamali? What does it need the whole lo yikach for? Right? Elalav hachikama. What it's saying is to you, milo yikach ad lo yigala havi mamzer. From lo yikach until lo yigala is a mamzer. Tvei lo havi mamzer. But more than that, meaning which means less than that, is not a mamzer. Right? So meaning anything that's chiyuv misa from bezdin is going to make a mamzer. Anything less than that is not going to make a mamzer.
This is exactly what I was saying. According to Rabbi Yeshua,
I was just thinking that's the opposite of it. I was just thinking this is the opposite of what you were saying, but man.
No, this is exactly what I was saying. Rabbi Yeshua is at the highest level. Everything below that is not, you're not chayiv for. So
right.
we're not talking like Yehoshua. We're talking like Shimon Hatimni, who includes chayvei mitzvos because b'chlal Messiah money.
Okay, but he doesn't say that Shimon Hatimni.
He doesn't need to. From Yehoshua, you can infer that. Yehoshua says if it was just shomeres, if it was just shomeres yavam, I'm sorry, which is chayvei krisos, we should have just said that. It's mashma that Shimon Hatimni is masking that. But otherwise, what's his taina?
I hear. It's interesting. I hear what you're saying. I mean, I would like if somebody said it more beferish, but you're saying that we can take from Rabbi Shua and put it back onto Shimon Hatimni and say that he would for sure say. That's the way. That's
otherwise,
what you're saying.
Okay. If he doesn't hold that way, it's not a taina then.
Yeah. I hear. Very good. I'll listen. It's I like that answer.
Isn't every Mrs. Bezdin a Chiv Karis also?
Is every Chiv Mrs. Bezdin? Is it an automatic?
Yeah, it's automatic.
For everything or just Shabbos?
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe then that would also be an answer. I hear. Okay, so I'm gonna buy it. Yeah, on the bottom line. Hakol moedim, everybody agrees, but Baal and nidda, if somebody sleeps with a nidda, which is chorus, Bala sotah, on a sotah. Now a sotah is meaning he goes back and sleeps with his wife, even though she was already mezana. Right? Normally, if a woman is mezana, you have to get divorced. But what happens if the husband doesn't get divorced?
I'm saying nidda. I'm saying, isn't that one way of being kaddish a woman is nidda? So why is kares against their will? You're saying?
No. What do you mean? You can't be. You're not supposed to be mekadesh an isha when she's a nidda. At least lechatchila not. What are you saying?
Oh, you're saying nidda is referred to actually nidda, not
non-married. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Vala sotah shein of vlad mamzer. Everybody agrees that the vlad is not a mamzer. Why? Because nidda the tafsi ba kiddushin. Nidda, because the bottom line is if you get married to a nidda, it is a kiddushin. The kiddushin does work. Shenemar vatini dasa alav, that the nidda will be on him. Apilu b'shas nidasa tafsi da kiddushin. Even when she's a nidda, kiddushin still works. So
why is typhus kiddushin criteria?
So now we already had a few blot ago that it seems to be totally in whether the marriage, if they're not supposed to be together, but if they're going to be together, they're allowed to stay together. So then that's considered that it cannot make a mamzer, right? Even though we had a shita not like that a few blot ago, but that's basically what it says. So it's totally in whether you talk about kiddushin or not.
Even though it's not a full.
Yeah. So then the Gemara says, Tani nami hachi akol moedim b'ba'al nidda v'al sotah v'shomeres yavam she'ein avlad mamzer. Everybody agrees that on a nidda and a sotah, and then the Brisa adds a third thing, shomeres yavam, that if somebody is mezana with a woman who's waiting for yibum, that the vlad is not a mamzer, right? Okay, so now Abaya said that everybody agrees by nazar and sotah. How come he left out shomeres yavam? If the Brisa says shomeres yavam too, how come Abaya left it out? Abaya shomeres yavam misapkale. He was mesupik about shomeres yavam. Ikarav, ikashmul. Whether we hold like Rav, who holds that the kiddushin is no good, or do we go with Shmuel, who holds that maybe the kiddushin is good if somebody marries a shomeres yavam? So therefore, since he was mesupik, how we paskin, therefore he left it out. But the Brisa, I don't know how that answers the question. The bottom line is the Brisa does include it, right? So why is Abaya's mesupik about the Brisa? I mean, a Brisa should be a good enough source for Abaya to hang his hat on and say shomeres yavam. Okay, but fine. Amr of Shimon Hazai. So Rav Shimon Hazai said, because Rav Shimon Hazai said about this Megillas Yuchsin that they had found, right? About the guy, an Eishes Ish, and the kids were considered mamzer. So Tani Shimon ben Hazai, Rav Shimon Hazai said, Matzasi Megillas Yuchsin Yerushalayim. Then this Gemara has no relation to, at least seemingly on the surface, to our Gemara. The only common thing that this Gemara has with our Mishnah is that it's a Megillas Yuchsin. So Reb Shimon ben Azai found there was another Megillas Yusin, mitzvos Megillas Yusin Yishayahu, a kosaba, and it says in it, Ish Pliny mamzer me'eshes ish. It says that a certain person was a mamzer from an eshes ish. A kosaba, and it also says, Mishnas Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Kavanaki, the Mishna of the Mishnayis of Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is considered kav. They're short, benaki, and clean. Meaning, whatever he said, we don't have that much from Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, but whatever we have is considered clean, and we're going to go with it. Because of ba, right? Meaning, so that there were two things so far. It says one is that a kid from an Ashes Ish is a mamzer. Then it also said that the Mishnah's Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is kav and naki. And then another thing, it says the Kosav Ba, Menashe haragas Yishayahu. That Menashe killed Yishayahu. Right? Menashe was one of the Melech beis David, and he was not a good guy. Right? He was Chizkiah's son, and he ended up killing Yishayahu. So what was going on? Why did he kill Yishayahu? So Amar Rava made them daine v'katle. He judged him and then he killed him. Amar Lei, he said to him, right? Menashe told Yishayahu, Moshe Rabach, Amar Moshe, your Rebbe said in the Torah, Ki lo yarani adam achai. Nobody's going to be able to see my face and live, right? That's referring to Hashem. And nobody's going to be able to look at Hashem and live. But Amrit, and you Yishayahu said, Be'eres Hashem Yoshev al Kisei Ram v'Nisa. I'm going, and I saw Hashem sitting on his throne, right? His high throne. So if Moshe Rabbeinu said nobody could see Hashem, how could you, Yishayahu, come along and say you did see Hashem?
And because he did his chayiv mitzvah?
Yeah. It's what do you call it? Because he's lying. He's lying. It's what do you call it? What's the name of it? Navi Sheker. He's a Navi Sheker. Navi Sheker is chayiv misa. Right? Fine. So that's one. That's one stira that the Yishayahu did to Moshe. Moshe Rabbi Chamer, Moshe, your Rebbe said, Mi Kashem Elokeinu b'chol kareinu alav. Who is like Hashem, that when anytime we call him, he's there. Va'at amrit dirshu Hashem b'hi matzoi. Right? We know that from the Haftarah on a fast day. Look for Hashem where you find him. Mashma, it's when he could be found. Doesn't mean he's always found. So Moshe said Hashem is always around to listen to our tefillas, and Yishayahu seemed to have said he's not always around to listen to our tefillas. So that's question number 2 that Menashe had on Yishayahu. Moshe Rabbi Chaman, and the third is Moshe, your Rebbe said, Es mispar yamecha amale. I'm going to fill up your days. Right? Which means Rashi says, Hashem is not going to ever give anybody any more life than they were supposed to get. That's what Moshe had said. And he said, you told Chizkiah, that who was Menashe's father, that we're gonna add on. I'm adding on 15 years to you. So how could that be? If Moshe Rabbeinu said that nobody's getting years added on to him, and you're saying that you're adding on 15 years onto Chizkiah, so it's a big stira. So you add this kash on him. So Amar Yishayahu, said, I know he's not going to listen to me. He's not going to be makabel any. I'm going to say pshat in what I meant. And Menashe's a Russia. He's not going to listen to me anyways. And if I'm going to tell him to him, Ishwi mazid, he's going to become a mazid because he's going to kill me anyways, right? And that means he's not going to have a good reason because I'm going to have explained myself. So and since I explained myself, he is no longer. He's not going to have a good excuse why he's killing me, but he's going to kill me anyway. So he's going to be chayav misa, right? So he didn't want to do that, Yishayahu. That's a tzidkus of Yishayahu. He didn't want this guy who was going to kill him anyways. He didn't want him to be chayav misa for killing him on purpose. So Amar, Shem Ibala Ba'arza. I'm going to say Hashem's name, and I'm going to get swallowed up in an erez, in a, the cedar tree. So then that's what he did. So he hid in the cedar tree. Yes, Asyu La'arza ben Asru. So then Menashe came, and they cut down the cedar tree. Yeah. So now, how did they know he was in the tree? Yeah. So this I got from the art scroll because I don't understand how do they know he's in the tree. So the art scroll brings that you must have in the footnotes there, right? That in the Yerushalmi it says that his tzitzis were hanging out of the tree. So they chapped that he was inside the tree. I don't know, whatever this means, right? But his tzitzis were hanging out of the tree, so they chapped that he's in the tree. So they cut down the tree. Kimata lahadi puma, when they were cutting it down and they got to the mouth of Yishayahu, noch nafshe, then he was nifter. Yeah, mishum de Amar, because he had once said, why was he nifter when it got to his mouth? Mishum de Amar, b'soich am tames v'sayim anochi yeshiv. I'm sitting amongst a nation who has bad mouths, right? So meaning because he had said negative about Klal Yisrael, even though he was the Navi and it was his job to do it, but he had said negative of Klal Yisrael. He said, I'm sitting amongst bad people. So therefore, he got punished when he was killed by his mouth. Right? So, obviously to learn, the thing to learn from this is that you got to be very careful when you talk negative about Klal Yisrael. Right? If Yishayahu had this, if the Gemara is saying that Yishayahu had this, I guess tonight is a heavy muttar night all the way around. Right? But if Yishayahu had this, that he said the negative about Klal Yisrael, which he was entitled to do, and he got his punishment for it. So, Kol Shekain, everybody else should not say anything like that. But anyways, so that's the story with that. Yeah. So what time is it right now? Okay, let's see. Anyway, so now but the bottom line is we have to answer up the three steers between Yishayahu and Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? Mikol Makam Kashu Kroy Adadi. The psukim are kashas on each other. Right? So the first one was that Moshe said nobody could see Hashem, and Yishayahu said he saw Hashem. So what is it? Ve'eres Hashem. What does that mean? Kedetanya, kol neviim nestaklu b'paklaria she'ena meira. All the neviim were able to see Hashem with a glass that was not. I guess it would be called. What would be a modern type of glass? Is it a one-way glass, or is it like a cloud? Not what's the name of the glass? Cloudy glass? No, there's a word for it.
Frosted.
Frosted. Thank you. Right, frosted. There you go. Right, very good. Frosted glass. The other Nevi'im saw Hashem through a frosted glass. Moshe Rabbeinu Nestagaba Saklaria Meira, he saw him through a glass that gave off. Now I don't know what that means because it can't be a clear glass because he wasn't. He couldn't see Hashem, so it has to be. But he had a clearer vision of what Hashem was than the other Nevi'im. Okay. Dirshu Hashem behimatzai. It says you have to darshan after Hashem where you find it, right? So Gemara answers haba yachid haba tzibur, right? When is a yachid you have to find Hashem, right? But tzibur Hashem is always around, which is the main reason why we're supposed to daven with a minyan, right? Because the tefillas get accepted. Hashem is always around for a minyan. So even if you're not concentrating and you're not davening properly, but the tefillas with a minyan will carry the tefillas to Hashem because Hashem is always around by a tzibur. Okay, the yachid ema. So taka, when is it that a yachid will find Hashem? During the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, even a yachid would be able to find Hashem, right? So what does that mean? You don't have to daven with a minyan.
I was about to say no minyan.
Parrots, I knew you were going down that road.
There you go.
Right? That doesn't mean that you're not going to have it better if you daven with a minyan. But yes, this Gemara is mashma that you don't need to daven with a minyan during a Simei Tshuva. But the point is that somebody can do. The point is somebody can do tshuva even during a Simei Tshuva. Hashem is around a lot more than he is the rest of the year. Meaning somebody standing in his house and he wants to do tshuva, can do tshuva during a Simei Tshuva. It doesn't necessarily have to be part of the minyan. Yeah, so those are the first two. Those are the steers between the first two, and then the third one is whether you can add days to somebody's life. That's a machlokes. So we'll leave that for tomorrow. That's Hashem. Yeah, because at least tomorrow we should have a little bit of an easy Gemara before we get to the Mishna. That Mishna lasts. Tomorrow's Mishna Be'ez Hashem almost lasts a daf, almost a blot, and each line is another wild case of chalitza and yibum. But anyways, all right. So have yourselves a good night, everybody.
Shreya.
All right.
Where's Liner?
He just went to pick up his wife from the airport.
No, we're supposed to do Meyer.
10:30 because he's going to pick up his wife. Yeah. Gershon, we would go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Gershon, we were discussing that if somebody's ma'anis, somebody, not ma'anis and Ashes ish. We discussed it a few weeks ago. You had a maramakaman. Is that making a mamzer? I thought you would.
Why not?
Didn't we learn they don't have to get divorced?
What? Doesn't make it. Only
they don't have to get divorced. They don't have to
get divorced. Only a kayan, right?
Yeah. That has nothing to do with making a mamzer. She's still an Ashes ish. The Koli Alma would make a mamzer.
That's what I thought, but then I thought maybe not because Lamaisa she didn't do anything wrong. I don't know.
It takes two to tango.
No, but she didn't do anything wrong.
So
I'm saying, do you go past him or her?
Oh, but this is what the Rishayim handle. Why? How could a mamzer possibly be? What is it? How does it make sense? It's a part of the same kasha. What did he do? What did the kid do?
Right, mamash is what I said, but I don't know if I don't remember. Whatever.
It's not a hard parsha to understand, especially Tosis Mahalach. There has to be a lasting effect since it's so bad. Even though he did nothing wrong, he's still the nitzitzis, whatever. It's not hard to understand why.
Yishayahu.
Yeah.
A sotah that drinks the May sotah and turns out that she wasn't guilty. She still also to her husband.
What are you saying?
What's the case of a sotah over here? Because it's a suffix over here, right? It was just nistra. She wasn't actually mizana. We don't know yet if she was mizana or not until she drinks.
So right. So what are you saying?
Wait, we said by a sotah that they have kids, no? Doesn't the sotah have a bunch of kids afterwards with the husband?
No.
Yeah, this is not the same sotah though. But the Gemara uses the term sotah. It means either the suffix, which has to drink, and in the days of the Gemara there was no drinking,
right? Or
it means the sotah vadai.
Here it means vadai.
Yeah.
So what do we know? We know that she was miyachid with somebody. What's the vadai?
Oh, nivela. We know she was nivela.
No, here the Gemara sotah means when the Gemara says sotah here, it means legit.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah. That's that's like the confusing things of yivamas. Now, I mean, it's not confusing enough. You got to use sotah. Sometimes it means sometimes it means sotah suffix. Sometimes it means sotah vada.
There's a Rashi at the beginning of Yevamos when we had sotah. In the first paragraph, Gemara used sotah both ways. I think Rashi said that for the rest of Yevamos, sotah means father.
Because Rashi here just says sotah. In the beginning, he says Ashes ish zinsa, and then the rabbi sotah shenistra.
Yeah,
that was the confusing part for me.
Means zinsa.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean as in kinoi v'stira.
Okay, makes it even more confusing.
Yeah. That was the Gemara in the first paragraph. What does stira mean? The Gemara handled it. I think Rashi said there that the rest of, I'm not sure he said the rest of the yivamas, but something like for the foreseeable future, it means vadai, not something.
It was a long time ago already. How can I remember?
Yeah.
I didn't even remember that we had a previous Mishna.
That's bad.
No, we had a Mishna 4 daf ago, R Akiva.
Oh, yeah.
With the mamzer. I totally didn't remember. But anyway, what can you do?